Black man humiliated by bank teller. The next day he shows up in a luxury car and everyone is shocked. Marcus Thompson walked into the bank with his head held high, exuding an air of confidence. Even in an environment that could seem hostile, he remained steadfast, dressed in a well-tailored suit that reflected his success as a businessman. His heart raced with the expectation of making a simple transaction, but what he didn't know was that day would mark a turning point in his life. As he approached the teller, Amanda Davis, she barely lifted her eyes from the computer. With a disinterested look, she made an impersonal, almost mechanical gesture. "Good morning. How can I help you?" Her voice was monotonous, suggesting she was more interested in finishing her shift than assisting a customer. Marcus felt a chill in his stomach but took a deep breath and replied, "Hi, good morning. I'd like to make a withdrawal, please." "Sure. Do you have an account here?" Amanda still didn't look him in the eyes, focused solely on the screen in front of her. She seemed oblivious to his impeccable attire, or the fact that the suit was from a famous brand. The question felt like an inquiry into his legitimacy, and despite all his experience and achievements, Marcus felt a wave of frustration rising within. "Yes, I have an account here. It's a checking account, number 24681350. Amanda finally looked at him, but her gaze was laced with subtle disdain. "Sorry, but you don't seem to have the type of account we deal with here. Maybe you should try a more accessible bank." Her words came out like a sentence, not just for Marcus, but for any hope he had of being treated with dignity in that moment. He felt as if the ground beneath him had crumbled. "Sorry, but that doesn't make sense," Marcus replied, trying to keep his composure. "I'm a customer here and I deserve to be treated as such." His tone was firm, but Amanda was determined to maintain her cold demeanor. She merely raised an eyebrow, dismissively. "Look, I'm just trying to help. If you don't feel comfortable here, it might be better to find a bank that meets your needs." Those words cut like a knife. Marcus turned away, feeling the humiliation implode within him. He exited the bank, the weight of discrimination and prejudice hanging heavy on his shoulders. As he walked, the gazes of other customers felt like anchors, and he could hear the whispering murmurs. Who does he think he is? Outside, the fresh breeze hit him, but there was no relief. Marcus leaned against a regular car parked nearby, contemplating his reflection in the window. The man he saw was a successful businessman, someone who had fought to get where he was, but now everything seemed in vain. He felt small, invisible, and the frustration transformed into a silent determination. "I won't let one person's prejudice define who I am," he murmured to himself, his voice thick with emotion. "Hey, Marcus, what happened?" called a friend upon seeing him exit the bank, concerned about the expression on his face. Marcus took a deep breath, trying to organize his thoughts. "Just another day, you know how it is. Sometimes it feels like some people can't see past appearances. Do you want to talk about it?" his friend offered, sensing the intensity of the situation. "What happened?" I felt judged, like my presence didn't matter. It hurts, you know," Marcus lamented, his eyes shining with the pain of indignation. "But I won't let this slide. I'm going back there to show them who I really am." "That's what I wanted to hear. Use this as a chance to teach a lesson," his friend encouraged, offering a supportive smile. Marcus nodded, the determination starting to burn within him like a lit flame. He knew he had to do something, not just for himself but for everyone who had faced similar experiences. At home, Marcus faced himself in the mirror. The bathroom light illuminated his face, but it couldn't shake off the shadow of humiliation he had felt at the bank. He adjusted his tie and looked deep into his own eyes as if seeking answers in his reflection. Frustration pulsed in his chest and he took a deep breath, trying to find calm amidst the whirlwind of feelings. "Today I stopped being myself," he murmured, feeling the need to change the situation. "I can't allow others' prejudices to define me." Before we continue with this emotional story, take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any stories. And let us know which city you're watching this video from in the comments. A decision quickly began to form in his mind. He remembered the conversations he had with friends about the daily struggles against racism and discrimination. "It's time to teach that woman a lesson," he thought, determined. He wanted Amanda Davis to see beyond his appearance, to recognize the man who had built his life through hard work and dedication. "I'm going back tomorrow and she won't recognize me," he decided with a defiant smile. That night, as he reviewed his plans, Marcus called his longtime friend Raphael. "Rafa, you won't believe what happened today at the bank," he began, his voice heavy with indignation. "A teller treated me like I was invisible. She had no idea who I am." "That's outrageous, man," Raphael replied, his voice firm. "But you know this happens all the time. What are you going to do about it?" "I'm going back there, and this time I'm making a grand entrance. I want her to see that her prejudice has no place in my world. I'm going to dress in a designer suit and rent a luxury car. I want her to see who I really am," Marcus explained, his tone growing excited. "That's a great idea. Use this experience to open her eyes. Sometimes a visual impact is what makes people stop and think," Raphael suggested, clearly pumped about his friend's plan. "Exactly. I'm going to show her that you can't judge someone by their appearance. Tomorrow I'm transforming," Marcus concluded, a spark of determination in his eyes. The following morning he woke up early and went straight to his closet. Skillfully he chose a tailored suit, a perfect fit that highlighted his athletic and confident figure. He admired the image reflected in the mirror, feeling not just well-dressed but also empowered. "Today, I'm a man who demands respect," he told himself. After getting ready, Marcus headed to the car rental agency. Upon entering, the attendant greeted him with a smile. "How can I assist you today?" "I'm interested in renting a luxury car, something that stands out," Marcus replied, his voice firm and clear. "Sure, we have several options. What do you prefer? A sports car or something more classic?" asked the attendant, impressed by Marcus's confidence. "A sports car, please. Something that makes a statement," Marcus replied, feeling the adrenaline starting to flow. He knew that car would be a powerful tool for his mission. After renting the car, he headed to an accessories store, where he chose an elegant watch and a pair of shoes that would complement his look. Looking in the store mirror, he smiled with satisfaction. Ready for the comeback, he thought, his confidence renewed. He then returned home, where he sat for a moment and reflected on what he was about to do. The journey he was starting was not just about Amanda, but about everyone who had faced prejudice. "If I can change one person's perception, maybe I can inspire others," he murmured as he prepared for the day's mission. With his heart racing with anticipation, Marcus was about to transform not only Amanda's perception but also his own journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Marcus Thompson walked through the vibrant streets of Harlem, the heart of African-American culture. It was a sunny morning, with light filtering through the leaves of the trees, creating a pattern of dancing shadows on the ground. He was on his way to the community center, where he would start a mentoring program for young entrepreneurs. Excitement bubbled within him. He knew this was a moment that could not only impact their lives but also reaffirm his own identity. Upon arriving at the center, Marcus was greeted by a group of eager young people waiting for his arrival. The space was simple, yet vibrant, adorned with colorful murals depicting iconic figures from the struggle for equality. He felt at home there. "Good morning, everyone," he exclaimed, waving with a smile. "Are you ready to learn and grow together today?" "Yes, Marcus," shouted one of the young men, a curly-haired boy with bright eyes named Jamal. "We're ready to hear your stories." Marcus looked around, noting the diversity of the group, each of them carrying unique dreams and challenges. "Today I want to share a bit of my journey," he began, sitting in a chair positioned at the center of the room. "But more importantly, I want to hear from you. I want you to know that each of you has the potential to change the world around you." The young people settled in, some sitting on the floor, others in chairs. Marcus began to share stories about his childhood, the obstacles he faced, and the experiences that shaped his worldview. As he spoke, he could see their eyes lighting up, reflecting interest and emotion. "I grew up in an environment where I was often told I wouldn't succeed because of the color of my skin," Marcus shared, his voice laden with emotion. "But I decided that I wouldn't let those words define who I am, and that's what I want you to understand. No one has the power to tell you what you can or cannot be." A girl with braided hair raised her hand. "But how did you overcome that, Marcus? How did you stay motivated?" "Great question," he replied, smiling. "I found inspiration in my passions and the people around me. Whenever things got tough, I reminded myself of my goals and the people who believed in me. And remember, it's normal to fall and feel discouraged, but what matters is how you get back up." Marcus's stories resonated with the young people, and the atmosphere in the room became increasingly encouraging. One boy who appeared shy finally found the courage to speak up. "I want to be a businessman, but sometimes I'm afraid of failing. What would you do in my place?" "I'd say embrace that fear," Marcus replied with conviction. "Fear is a natural part of the journey. The important thing is not to let it paralyze you. Every failure is a lesson, an opportunity to learn. So dare to fail. because that's how you grow. As the conversation flowed, a sense of camaraderie and confidence settled in. Marcus realized that each voice raised was a crucial piece in building a better future. He encouraged them to share their own dreams and aspirations, and soon the room buzzed with enthusiasm and ideas. "I want to open a clothing store," said a young woman named Tanya, her eyes shining. "But I don't know where to start." "Start by making a plan," Marcus suggested. "List what you need to learn and the steps to get there. And whenever you need help, remember that you're not alone. We're all in this together." Time flew by, and by the end of the session, Marcus felt revitalized. The young people were more excited and full of ideas, and he knew he had planted seeds of hope and courage within them. When he said his goodbyes, Jamal approached him and sincerely said, "Thank you, Marcus. Your story is inspiring. You made me believe I can do this." "That's what I want to hear, Jamal," Marcus replied, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Believe in yourself, and anything will be possible." As he left the community center, Marcus felt a wave of gratitude. He was not only shaping the future of the young people, but also reconnecting with his own mission, transforming pain into power, prejudice into understanding. The struggle was long, but each step, each conversation, every life touched, mattered. And that day, he had taken another significant step on his journey. Marcus Thompson parked his luxury car in front of the bank, the engine purring softly before falling silent. He looked at himself in the rearview mirror, adjusting his tie and checking the details of his tailored suit. The confidence he had lost the day before now surged through his veins. With one last deep breath, he stepped out of the car, his posture straight and his eyes determined. As he walked through the glass doors of the bank, he noticed all eyes turning to him. The employees, who had previously seen him as just another ordinary customer, were now intrigued by his presence. But it was Amanda Davis, the teller who had previously looked down on him, who captured his attention. She stood behind the counter, her expression a mix of surprise and nervousness, as she looked at the man who suddenly seemed to have stepped out of a fashion magazine. "Good morning, ma'am," Marcus said as he approached the counter. His voice was firm yet controlled, causing Amanda to hesitate for a moment, as if trying to process who this customer was. "I would like to make a transaction." Amanda forced a smile, but her expression betrayed a mix of discomfort and confusion. "Of course, sir. Sorry, I didn't recognize you right away," she replied, trying to regain her composure. "How may I assist you?" Marcus approached the table, his imposing presence making her feel small. "You might want to start reflecting on how you treat your clients, especially those who don't fit your expectations," he said, looking directly into her eyes. The statement caught Amanda off guard. She frowned, trying to grasp what was happening. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her voice no longer confident. "Yesterday, you suggested that I look for a more accessible bank. Do you remember?" Marcus inquired, his expression serious but devoid of anger. He was determined to help Amanda understand the impact of her words. "I'm a businessman, and what you told me was a reflection of a prejudice that still permeates our society." Amanda swallowed hard, her mind racing as she tried to find a response. I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you were having difficulties." She began to justify, but her voice sounded weak. "Thought? Or assumed? There's a difference. You looked at me and saw only the color of my skin, not who I really am," Marcus replied, his voice firm yet tinged with vulnerability. "That's what prejudice does. It colors our judgments, prevents us from seeing the true essence of people." Amanda felt as if she were being stripped bare, her beliefs exposed before someone she had only known superficially. She bit her lower lip, shame flooding over her. I didn't realize that. I just never thought I could be wrong." It's easy not to think when we're comfortable in our bubbles, but it's time to start asking yourself, how can I be better? Marcus spoke with such sincerity that Amanda began to feel the weight of her actions. "I want to change. I want to understand more about people, about their experiences," Amanda replied, her voice now softer, almost broken. "I don't want to be that person who judges others. I want to learn." Marcus observed her, noting the sincerity in her eyes. He knew her journey wouldn't be easy, but the first step had been taken. Change begins with the willingness to listen and learn, and remember, we all have our own battles. Don't forget that. Amanda nodded, her heart heavy yet relieved to have someone challenging her to look beyond herself. "Thank you for showing me this. I promise I will work to become a better person." Marcus offered a slight smile. a gesture that reflected both his understanding and his hope. We're all on this journey together, and the more we're willing to learn from each other, the more we can transform not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. With that, he turned and walked away from the bank, leaving Amanda amidst a whirlwind of emotions. What had once been just another ordinary workday had now become a turning point in her life. She looked out the window, watching Marcus walk away, realizing that this encounter would change her perspective forever. Amanda felt nervous. The confident look she once wore had faded, and now, facing Marcus, she felt exposed, as if standing before a mirror reflecting not just her image but her flaws. Marcus, on the other hand, maintained a firm yet controlled demeanor. He knew this moment was crucial, not just for him, but for Amanda. "You can't just look at someone and decide who they are, Amanda," Marcus began, his voice resonating with a mix of firmness and pain. "I've spent my whole life fighting against prejudice, and your attitude that day only reinforced everything I've faced. You saw me as a nobody, someone who didn't deserve respect." Amanda felt the weight of his words. In her mind, the image of Marcus as an ordinary client dissolved, giving way to the reality of a man who had overcome immense barriers. I didn't know," she stammered, trying to find the right words. I thought you were trying to do something that didn't fit. I shouldn't have spoken that way, I know that now." "You didn't know me," he replied, his eyes locked onto hers. "And yet, you made a judgment based solely on appearance. What does that say about you? About us as a society?" Amanda swallowed hard, shame washing over her. "I grew up in an environment where appearances mattered. I always thought that image was what told a person's story. But that's no justification, I know. What I did was wrong." Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the tension in the air. "The problem isn't just you, Amanda. It's a vicious cycle we perpetuate. We look at people and label them without even knowing them. I'm a successful businessman, but that doesn't change the fact that in many places I'm still treated with disdain. That hurts." Tears welled in Amanda's eyes, and she fought to maintain her composure. "I didn't want to be that person. I want to change, but I don't know where to start." "Start by reflecting on what you truly believe," Marcus said, his voice softening a bit. "Evaluate your beliefs and be willing to deconstruct them. That's the first step. And more importantly, be open to listening to and learning from the stories of people like me." "I promise I will do that," she replied, determination beginning to rise in her voice. "I want to understand. I want to learn. I want to be better. But it's hard, Marcus. I don't know if I can do this alone." "You don't have to do it alone," he said, his tone now more encouraging. "Seek out groups. Talk to people from different backgrounds. Listen, most of us just want to be heard and understood. And believe me, that's an important step toward change." Amanda nodded, feeling warmth grow within her. "And what if I fail? What if I can't change?" "Failing is part of the process," Marcus replied, a slight smile forming on his lips. "What matters is that you're willing to try. That's already a big start. No one is perfect, but we can all learn and grow." She looked at him, a mix of admiration and gratitude in her gaze. "Thank you for showing me this. I didn't know I needed to hear these things." "That's what we need to do for each other," Marcus said, his voice firm. "We need to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. The world needs more empathy and less prejudice, and you have the power to be a change." Amanda smiled shyly, feeling as if a new light was beginning to shine within her. "I will strive to be better, to understand better. That's all we can ask for," Marcus replied, taking a step back, preparing to leave. "Remember, change begins with a single step, and I'll be rooting for you." As he walked away, Amanda felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. The journey would be long and challenging, but for the first time she felt ready to face it. Amanda stepped away from Marcus, her heart still racing from the words he had spoken. As she entered the office, a mix of confusion and restlessness washed over her. She sat down at her desk, her mind swirling with tumultuous thoughts about what she had just experienced. The conversation with Marcus hadn't just been an exchange of words. It had been a clash of realities, a confrontation that forced her to face her own biases head-on. She glanced out the window, watching the frenetic movement of the city. People passed by, each carrying their own stories, challenges, and victories. How many of them have I judged without even knowing them? She wondered, feeling a knot form in her throat. What Marcus had said echoed in her mind. People are not defined by their appearance but by their stories. It was a truth she had never had the courage to confront until that moment. Taking a deep breath, Amanda paused. She needed to process what had happened. With her phone in hand, she decided to call her best friend Carla. "Hey Amanda, how's it going?" Carla's cheerful voice greeted her. "Actually, not great. I need to talk to you, it's urgent." "Of course, where are you?" Carla asked, immediately picking up on her friend's worried tone. "I'm at the bank, but I can come down." "What happened?" Amanda felt a little lighter knowing she would have her friend's company. "I'm at the bank. I'll come down now." As she left the building, she spotted Carla waiting on the sidewalk, her face lit up by a warm smile. As soon as she saw her, Amanda ran to her and hugged her tightly. "What happened, friend?" Carla asked, sensing the tension in the embrace. Amanda took a deep breath before beginning to explain. "Today I met a client, a black businessman, Marcus. He came into the bank, and I treated him like just anyone else. I was arrogant and condescending, and he confronted me. He made me see how limited I am in my beliefs." "Oh my God, Amanda. That must have been difficult," Carla replied, her expression understanding. "How do you feel now?" "Disturbed," Amanda admitted, looking at the ground. "I never thought I had biases. I always believed I was a fair person, but now I realize I'm not. What I did was horrible." Carla held her friend's hand. "We all have something to learn, my friend. The important thing is that you're recognizing it and want to change." Amanda nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude for having someone so understanding by her side. "I want to change, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to handle this at work, and I'm scared of being judged again." "Start by talking to your colleagues. Create a safe space to discuss diversity and inclusion," Carla suggested. "You can make a difference. And remember, change takes time. Don't be too hard on yourself." Carla's words began to penetrate Amanda's heart. As they walked, she reflected on what Marcus had said and how she could use this experience to promote a more inclusive environment at the bank. "You're right," she said, with newfound determination. "I need to turn this pain into something positive." "Exactly. And you're not alone. I'll be here to help you every step of the way," Carla assured her, encouraging her. As Amanda returned to the bank, she felt a mix of anxiety and hope. She knew the road ahead would be long, but she was willing to travel it. Marcus's words still echoed in her mind, and for the first time she was determined to confront her own biases proactively. The journey of self-discovery had begun, and with her friend's support and her new perspective on the world, Amanda was ready to transform. Amanda sat at her desk, sunlight filtering through the bank's windows and illuminating the papers surrounding her. The environment was filled with murmurs and the sound of keyboards clacking, but to her, everything had become a distant hum. Her mind was preoccupied with the conversation she had had with Marcus, and the feeling of discomfort lingered. The word change echoed in her thoughts, and she knew she needed to act. Determined not to let that moment remain just a memory, Amanda began researching discussion groups on diversity and inclusion. As she navigated the internet, an idea emerged. Why not create a space within the bank where everyone could share their experiences and discuss biases? The thought invigorated her, and she quickly started sketching out a plan. "This is just the beginning," she murmured to herself, resolute and moving. That afternoon, she called her best friend Carla, a woman with whom she had always shared her insecurities and achievements. After a brief conversation, Carla noticed the excitement in Amanda's voice. "What's going on? You sound different," Carla said, curious. "I'm trying to change, Carla. Remember what we talked about regarding prejudice? I can't just stand still anymore. I want to do something about it," Amanda replied, enthusiasm bubbling in her chest. "That's amazing. How do you plan to do it?" Carla asked, excited. "I'm thinking of organizing a discussion group at the bank, a space where people can feel safe to talk and learn from each other," Amanda explained. "You know you'll face resistance, right? But I'll be with you as always," Carla assured her, and Amanda smiled, feeling supported. In the following days, Amanda's determination only grew. She began approaching her co-workers about her idea, and while many were receptive, some looked at her skeptically. "Do you really think this will work? The culture here is pretty rigid," one colleague said. "It's not easy to change mindsets." "I know it's not easy, but we need to try. If we don't start now, when will we?" Amanda replied, her voice firm. She realized that despite the challenges, there was a growing desire for transformation, both within her and among her colleagues. Over the weeks, Amanda started gathering people interested in joining the group. During a meeting in a conference room, she introduced herself and shared her vision. "I believe that if we can come together and share our stories, we can better understand each other and combat the prejudice that exists in our corporate culture." she said, looking into the eyes of each person present. One participant, Ricardo, raised his hand. What if people don't feel comfortable speaking? How can we ensure everyone feels safe? That's a great question, Ricardo. We need to establish an environment of trust. Promoting empathy and respect should be our priority, Amanda responded, feeling increasingly confident. As the group formed, Amanda noticed that the resistance she initially faced was starting to fade. People who had never spoken to each other began to interact, and personal experiences were shared. She felt like a leader in a movement that could change the dynamics of her workplace. We're just getting started, but this is already a big step, she said at one of the meetings, prompting applause from everyone. However, not everything was easy. Amanda often felt discouraged by some colleagues who still resisted change. In one of those moments, she confided in Carla, I feel like I'm swimming against the current. Some just want things to stay the same, but you can't give up. Every small change counts, Amanda. You're making a difference even if you don't realize it, Carla encouraged her. And so, Amanda continued her journey, determined to face the challenges that arose. Each meeting was a new opportunity for learning and growth. She knew she couldn't change the world all at once, but she was willing to fight for a more inclusive future, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. Marcus felt renewed and inspired after the transformative conversation he had with Amanda. His experience at the bank not only reaffirmed his inner strength, but also ignited a spark within him to expand his mentoring program in Harlem. He knew he needed to do more, not just for himself, but for the community he had always believed in and fought to help. On a sunny Saturday, Marcus organized a community event at the Harlem Youth Entrepreneurs Center. The space was decorated with colorful balloons and banners promoting diversity and inclusion. He had invited young people from all over the community, and the anticipation in the air was palpable. As he set up the chairs, Marcus thought about how he could impact the lives of these children and teenagers. Hey Marcus, are you all set for the big presentation? Asked Jamal, one of the young mentees, as he rushed into the hall. Almost, Jamal. I just need to put these last few details in place, and you? Are you ready to present? Marcus replied with a smile. With excitement in his eyes, Jamal nodded. Yes, I'm going to show everyone my app project. Thanks to you, I'm feeling confident. That's the spirit. Remember, your voice is powerful. Use it to your advantage, Marcus encouraged him, feeling satisfied to see the boy's enthusiasm. As the event began, a diverse audience gathered. Young people, parents, and even some local business owners were present. Marcus took the stage, his heart racing with anticipation about how the audience would receive him. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you today. We're here to celebrate the potential each of you has and to show that regardless of challenges, you can achieve your dreams. Marcus began, his voice strong and filled with passion. Today, we'll have amazing presentations and opportunities to learn from one. As the young people presented, Marcus watched with pride. He saw Jamal shine as he explained his app, which helped people find job opportunities in their area. The audience erupted in a standing ovation, and the boy could hardly contain his happiness. At the end of the event, a local investor, Mr. Johnson, who had heard about Marcus's work, approached him. Marcus, you're doing an exceptional job here. I saw the passion and dedication in those presentations. I believe you and your mentees have great potential. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. It means a lot to hear that. I'm just trying to help these young people find their voices and opportunities, Marcus replied, touched. In fact, I'd like to discuss a proposal. I'm considering investing in a formal mentoring program that could help even more young people in our community. And I want you to lead it, the investor proposed, his eyes shining with the idea. That would be amazing. I'd love to discuss it further. I believe we can create significant impact, Marcus responded, barely containing his excitement. He knew this could be an opportunity to expand his efforts and help even more people. Let's schedule a meeting. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can work together, Mr. Johnson said, extending his hand for a handshake. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Marcus said, shaking the investor's hand, feeling a wave of gratitude. As the event wrapped up, Marcus stepped aside for a moment of reflection. He looked at the group of young people who were laughing and chatting animatedly, and he felt a deep sense of pride. He was making a difference, and now, with the possibility of a new program, he could reach even more people. Hey Marcus, did you see the audience's reaction? They loved it, Jamal exclaimed, running over to him. Yes, I did. You were incredible, my friend. "I'm so proud of you. Let's keep doing this together," Marcus replied, his heart filled with hope and determination. That day, not only did Marcus feel empowered, but he also knew that the fight against prejudice and inequality could be tackled through education and mutual support, and he was determined to move forward, creating a better future for his community. The atmosphere at the bank had changed, but not just in terms of decor or new employees. The environment pulsed with a new energy, a mix of expectation and respect that hadn't existed months ago. Marcus Thompson and Amanda Davis found themselves together again during a meeting on diversity and inclusion, which had been organized in response to the discussions Amanda had initiated after her transformative encounter with Marcus. Marcus arrived early, dressed in a sharp dark suit that highlighted age. He took a seat in one of the meeting room chairs, observing the faces of the employees as they entered one by one. There was a noticeable change in their expressions. The exchange of glances was filled with curiosity and respect, especially concerning his journey as a Black entrepreneur. He understood that his presence there was not just a symbol of his success, but a representation of everything he had fought to achieve. Amanda walked into the room with a notebook in hand, visibly nervous yet determined. The day before the meeting had been intense, and she had spent hours reviewing her notes, reflecting on her experience with Marcus, and how to translate that into concrete actions. Seeing him there made her heart race. She felt a mix of gratitude and apprehension, but she was resolved to show that she was making a change. "Marcus," Amanda began, approaching with a nervous smile. "It's great to see you here again." "It's great to be here, Amanda. I'm excited to hear your ideas about the inclusion program," Marcus replied, his tone sincere and encouraging. He noticed that she seemed a bit more confident, although a shadow of insecurity still lingered in her demeanor. The meeting started, and Amanda took the initiative. "Everyone knows we're here to discuss ways to promote a culture of inclusion in our bank. I would like to share some ideas I've developed after our last conversation, Marcus," she said, seeking his support with a glance. Marcus nodded, encouraging her to continue. "Please, go ahead." Taking a deep breath, Amanda pressed on. "I've noticed that often people on our team don't feel comfortable sharing their experiences. So, I thought about creating a safe space where everyone can express themselves freely. Perhaps an active listening program, where every voice matters." She looked at Ma. "That's a fantastic idea, Amanda," Marcus commented, his enthusiasm evident. "A space where people can feel valued and heard is essential. This could really change the dynamics of our work environment." As the meeting progressed, Amanda began to loosen up. She started presenting other suggestions such as workshops on unconscious biases and empathy training. Marcus listened attentively, interspersing his own insights and experiences. "It's important for all of us to understand that change starts within us," he said, looking intently at the colleagues around him. "If we can't confront our own beliefs and biases, we won't be able to help others do the same." One colleague raised their hand. "But how can we ensure this isn't just a temporary initiative? How can we maintain focus on inclusion in the long term?" Feeling supported by Marcus, Amanda confidently replied, "We need a real commitment. I propose we form a diversity committee that meets regularly to assess our progress and implement new ideas. This can't just be a conversation. It must be an ongoing action." The meeting continued, and the initial tension Amanda felt with her colleagues began to dissipate. Mutual respect started to flourish, and Amanda's ideas were received with enthusiasm. Marcus felt proud to see how much she had transformed, not just as a professional, but as an advocate for change. When the meeting came to an end, Amanda and Marcus exchanged a look that conveyed more than words could express. There was a deep understanding between them now, a connection that transcended prejudice and pain. They both knew they were on journeys of growth, and that together, they could impact not only their lives but the lives of many others. "Thank you for your support, Marcus," Amanda said as they headed for the exit. "I really couldn't have done this without you." "You did this, Amanda. The change is in your hands now. I'm here to help with whatever you need," Marcus replied, his smile reflecting the hope for a more inclusive future. Amanda was in a meeting at the bank, and the tension hung in the air. The employees were discussing a new diversity program she had proposed, inspired by her experience with Marcus. However, the atmosphere felt hostile, and Amanda couldn't ignore the disdainful looks from some colleagues. Among them was Ricardo, a coworker who had always belittled her and now seemed determined to sabotage her initiative. During the discussion, Ricardo interrupted with a sarcastic tone, Do you really think this is going to work? A diversity program? What are you talking about, Amanda? People won't change just because you want them to. This is just another silly idea. Amanda felt her face flush, but she didn't let anger take over. Instead, she took a deep breath and responded with a firmness she hadn't felt in months. Ricardo, change starts with the willingness to engage in dialogue. If you can't see the value in promoting an inclusive environment, maybe you're the problem. The silence in the room was palpable. Some colleagues looked at Amanda in surprise while others seemed entertained by the spectacle. Ricardo, realizing he had lost control of the situation, tried to recover. Don't take this personally. I'm just This kind of program will only create more division. She didn't let it affect her. Division? Ricardo, you don't understand. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. This isn't about division. It's about inclusion. We need to learn to work together, regardless of our backgrounds or appearances. Ricardo glared at her, his eyes narrowed in disdain. You can say whatever you want, but I still think this is a waste of time. And honestly, you're not qualified to lead a project like this. Amanda's determination grew as Ricardo's words hit her. Remembering her journey and the lessons she learned from Marcus, she decided she wouldn't be intimidated. Actually, I am more than qualified, Ricardo. I understand what it means to fight against prejudice, and I won't let you or anyone else stop me from making a difference. If you're not on board, maybe you need to reconsider your position here. She turned to her other colleagues, seeking support. Does anyone here believe that diversity and inclusion are important for our work environment? A murmur of agreement swept through the room, and several raised their hands in support. Amanda's gaze locked onto each of them, feeling she had created a genuine connection. Realizing he was losing ground, Ricardo decided to appeal to his darker side. You're just doing this to feel better about yourself. This isn't about the bank. It's about you. Amanda didn't hesitate. And if this is about me, then it's because I care and want to change what's wrong. You can choose to stay stuck in your limiting beliefs, but I've chosen to grow, and I will fight for that. After the meeting, Amanda headed to the manager's office, determined to report Ricardo's behavior. We need to discuss a serious issue regarding the work culture here. Ricardo has been behaving inappropriately, and that's unacceptable. The manager listened attentively and at the end murmured, You did well to bring this up, Amanda. We will investigate the situation and take action as necessary. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus was in a business meeting, signing a multi-million-dollar contract that symbolized his rise in the business world. He looked at his partner, a satisfied smile on his face. This is just the beginning. We are ready to make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the entire community. As Marcus celebrated his achievement, Amanda stepped out of the bank feeling renewed. She had faced her fears and refused to retreat into the shadows of her former self. Watching her supportive colleagues, she felt a new chapter unfolding before her. At the end of the day, while Marcus gazed out of his office window, reflecting on how his struggles had borne fruit, he spotted Amanda across the street, standing with a group of colleagues laughing and chatting. A wave of pride washed over him as he realized that both of them were, in different ways, transforming their realities and those of the people around them. The story of Amanda and Marcus continued, intertwining along a path of empowerment and change, where each became a reflection of the other, ready to confront the prejudices that still lingered in the world. We've reached the end of this touching story. If you enjoyed it and want to see more narratives like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Right now, there's a playlist of videos on your screen. If you want to keep watching these heartfelt stories, just click on it to start watching. And now, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from and leave a like to support our work. Now, a sincere question. Do you agree with what happened in the story? We want to hear your thoughts. Until the next video.